Hello, I'm Jason. On, Valentine's Day of 2024, the Food and Drug Administration, or FDA, announced approval of a drug that's been around since the 1980s. Why did this get my attention? Because it was a medication approved for severe frostbite, a medication that has been used in Canada and Europe for years now. So, being very clear that I am not a physician, I wanted to put this on the radar of those of us who play in the cold, because many of us, maybe especially the Americans watching, simply may not be aware that this is now an option that we may want to ask our physician about, should we ever be so unfortunate as to need to consider it. Let's talk about what the medication is and the study the FDA relied upon. The drug is called iloprost, under the brand name Lumen. Iloprost was originally developed to treat high blood pressure in the arteries of the lungs through two mechanisms, attempting to widen blood vessels and attempting to prevent blood clots. Blood vessel constriction and blood clots are significant causes of the continuing damage frostbite generates after the tissue is rewarmed, following the initial damage caused by the tissue freezing. The FDA cited a specific study that tracked, frankly, a small number of only 47 patients over a 12-year period. And therein lies one of the issues. When considering the size of the general population, frostbite just doesn't happen very often. Also of note, 44 of those 47 people were men with an average age of 33, so a very homogeneous population, making results harder to extrapolate to other population segments. All of the patients had to have at least one finger or toe that was at stage 3 or 4 frostbite, meaning lesions extending back towards the hand or foot past the farthest knuckle for stage 3 or past the farthest 2 knuckles for stage 4. But some of those digits could be stage 2, with damage only reaching the outermost knuckle. It's important to note that by far the majority of injured fingers or toes were at stage 3, which sets it apart from the results we see at stage 4. We'll talk more about that in a minute. After evacuation from the backcountry, the tissue was rewarmed, aspirin administered along with another medication that was back then the standard of care, and then the patients were randomized into one of 3 treatment regimens. And to be eligible for the study, the patient had to be made available for treatment quickly, with the study grouping patients into those receiving treatment in less than 12 hours or greater than 12 hours after injury. One group did not receive any iloprost as part of that treatment. One group received only iloprost, given intravenously at 2 nanograms per kilogram of body weight for 6 hours a day for 7 days, and the last group received iloprost and 1 day of another medication that dissolves blood clots. Okay, take 47 people and divide them into 3 groups. We are getting to only 15 or 16 people in each group. 7 days after the initial injury, a bone scan with radioactive tracer was given that was 99.6% accurate at predicting amputations. The patients receiving only iloprost showed likely amputation of 0 digits out of 142 that were frostbitten, but only 3 of those digits were stage 4 frostbite. Those receiving iloprost and the additional medication showed 5 likely amputations out of 159 digits, with 3 of those coming from 25 that were stage 4. Those confined to the previous standard of care lost nearly 40% of their frostbitten digits and 100% of their stage 4 digits. So small study numbers, but let's also call out the high magnitude of effect. The same researcher published a retrospective study of 131 patients that received the previous standard of care, no care, just iloprost, or iloprost and 1 dose of another blood clot dissolver. For grade 3 frostbite, 4 of the 4 patients not receiving any treatment needed amputation. 10 of the 16 patients who received the previous standard of care needed amputation. 2 of 41 patients using iloprost needed amputation, and 3 of 11 patients using the medication combination needed amputation. For grade 4 frostbite, they saw 3 of 3 with no treatment require amputation, 4 of 4 with the previous standard of care, 4 of 6 with iloprost, and 4 of 9 with the combination medication. Time to treatment in this retrospective study becomes more important, with effectiveness only being shown within a 48-hour window after injury. There have been other studies, given the more lengthy history of use in other parts of the world, but they all share in some basic limitations: small samples, lack of ability to generalize to groups other than, frankly, fairly young men, variability in treatment protocols, and reliance on retrospective analyses, which therefore can't control for other variables. On the other hand, though, we see the previous standard of treatment clearly was not producing results that any of us would like. So is a chance at better outcomes worth the risk that comes with promising but limited evidence? Should you ever face that choice, I guess talk to your doctor about it. Have you ever had to deal with cold-related injury? Would you be willing to share your story in the comments? Thanks for watching this video. Please like, subscribe, and share if you want to support us. For more information, you can go to our website at www.shortguysbetaworks.com. You can check out last week's related video on the medications I take with me on big expeditions, or you can check out our entire series called Cold if you want to get into more specifics about avoiding frostbite in the first place. We'll see you next week and keep on getting more out of that big outside.